often we think that our society is a society in which we have freedom to do a lot of things. Yes, we have freedom to do a lot of things, but at the end of the day, we are imposing our morality on others. Believe it or not. I mean, there is a morality. Slavery for some people. At some point of time was not immoral. It was practiced, but today the law has banned it. Now you would say that it's my practice, it's my own free will, it's my freedom of religion or religious liberty or whatever you would say, but the point is that at some point of time the state does impose morality, or the society does impose its majority morality, I should say, on the minority morality. And this is seen in a lot of cases. For example, there would be talking about the caste system, let's say, one could always use the aspect of religious liberty, and say that I have a freedom to practice my religion, and therefore I have a right to exclude people who are so-called lower caste from entering the temple. I mean that could be one of the defenses for it's our religion and we have freedom to maintain our religion, and to I mean, this is exactly how you could put an argument on Shabrimala as well. It's a threat to the freedom of religion of people who are entering if you give entry to women. Similarly, there was with regard to caste system, but then the majority morality, or I should say the morality of the influential people, so to speak, in the sense the morality of the freedom fighters, the morality of the the constitutional assembly debates, the morality of the social reformers, and especially the Supreme Court judges and High Court judges and judges otherwise. All of them, all of their morality was superimposed upon the morality of the, let's say, the orthodox people in that religion, who wanted that that lower caste people should not get entry in their temple. And this happens in a secular society a lot, because especially with regard to religious liberty, you can do a lot of things under religious liberty, but you are not allowed to do. That's because at some point of time your religious liberty is to be violated, is to be crushed, so to speak, on that particular aspect. One of the things that when we talk about the new cases, especially right now happening in America, is with regard to, or in the West, is with regard to things like acceptance of LGBTQ community, and especially the transgender community. Now we know the case of the Masterpiece Baker case, in which the baker who identified himself as a Christian was not willing to paint a cake for he was a cake artist as well, so he was not willing to paint a cake for a couple who identified themselves as homosexuals, right? And therefore they so he said that my religion doesn't allow celebrating or serving this particular event. He said that this particular, because there it was to be their wedding cake and not a cake in general. So similarly, many it's not just one of him alone. There are many florists, there are many photographers, etc., who feel uncomfortable, and not only uncomfortable because it's against their ethics, it's against their morality, that they should take part in a homosexual wedding. For example, especially in many cases, the evangelicals, and even I guess the conservative Catholics, or Catholics in general, I guess, interpret the fact that when you are in a wedding, you are actually witnessing that wedding, you are giving witness to that wedding. Yeah, you are giving witness to the God, or that particular wedding. So if you are in a homosexual wedding, then you are basically giving a witness to a homosexual wedding, and therefore we are discouraged to go to a homosexual wedding. Now, the fact is that many people were enraged with this, and both the sides are, I mean, there were progressives within the religion and there were conservatives within the religion, and of course people who were outside of the religion, who who were in clash with each other. So progressives and those who are outside were in clash with conservatives on, this should not be done, under the garb of religious liberty. You should not deny persons, because you are doing business, you have to do business, etc. But then there comes this matter of, let's say, uh, transgenderism, in which, among many Christians have this morality that, God created people male and female, right? There is no, like in general, what people say as, there is a spectrum of, gender and sexuality, etc. That is not, at least what the majority believe with regard to biblical morality. And so you and of course there are people who, even outside of religion, for example Jordan B. Peterson, who was famous for this whole incident of not using the pronouns which transgenders wanted them to use, her and zir and z, etc. So he said that it's my freedom of speech. I mean, nobody has a right to dictate what I should call them, especially when they are, they are, it's a leftist ideology, and so on and so forth. So this and of course, I don't know how court ruled with regard to it and what all things are going with regard to it, but definitely at one point of time I am sensing that since the church has lost its authority, and even the moral authority over the, it's no longer the custodian of moral authority in the West. Therefore the morality of the church won't be morality of many, and certainly won't be the morality of the Supreme Court judges. And there would be a time when the morality of the world in general would be superimposed on morality of the church. And then the church has two things to do: either change their own morality with regard to the morality of the church, which many won't be willing to do. But mind you, at this same time, when we are talking about, there are many in the church who want to change the morality of the church as well, which the morality which church was was having for quite many decades, I should say, for quite many centuries, with regard to stance on homosexuality and transgenderism and so on and so forth. So clearly I could see that either the church would change the morality, or the church would have to be in a place where they have to go underground, or they have to court arrest, they have to do civil disobedience or something or the other sort. They would be persecuted. And clearly on these aspects of, let's say, on perhaps on the LGBTQ or transgenderism or any other stuff, church, when the morality of the world is in clash with the morality of the church, then moral, and especially when the morality of the church has lost its moral authority in the Western world, then perhaps in the Western world there would be a clash of them and superimposition of one over the other. So we could expect that. And at this point, I would like to especially conclude with this, that we are always imposing our morality on others. Fact that you cannot call, let's say, a person who is an African American with his race because it sounds offensive is a superimposition of morality. A fact that you cannot kill others is a superimposition of morality. The fact that you cannot, especially with regard to polygamy, just because it's not in your culture, just because you think that polygamy is anti-woman, perhaps burqa ban is anti-woman, burqa is anti-woman, so superimposition of all those morality, that's basically what all these does. So Clearly, we could see a clash of and superimposition of morality with regard to church as well, and then it would be the time for the church to decide either to change its morality or to be ready for persecution.